Here are 5 things which I learned from the Luton Town versus West Ham game. Number 1, Luton are getting better. Now, I know it's really easy to focus on the negatives, but we are getting better. From Brighton to Chelsea, there was small improvements made, and then from Chelsea to West Ham, there were massive improvements made. We are slowly getting there. Our next 3 games are like Fulham, Wolves and Everton. Now you look at those 3 games and go, if we don't get at least 4 points, then we can start really panicking. But the first 3 games haven't really gone in our favour. I think not playing Burnley has had an impact, because we would have played a team that was more on our level, especially from last season. So that would have really helped us, and who knows what could have potentially have happened there. May have got a win, may have got something, may have not got anything. But it's really hard to judge. But I felt we kind of needed that game. But unfortunately, the stadium's, it just wasn't ready, the stadium. So that's something which we have to accept. But we are slowly getting better. We're just lacking a few things which we are going to speak further in this video. But if you just put it down to Brighton, how good of a season they had last year in European football as well, they're going to probably have a good season this year. They beat Newcastle yesterday 3-1. And then Chelsea, although they had an awful season last year, the amount of money they've spent, the players they've got, they should be doing a lot better, and they're probably going to be up there this season. And then third, West Ham, they've literally just won the European Conference. So if you look at it like that, it's a tough run, man. It's the hardest run we've ever had. Burnley have also lost every single one of their games. They've played a majority of their games at home as well. So we're getting a fair bit of slack, but it should be other teams as well. Number 2, we also learnt that Ryan Giles is having a very tough time here at Luton. I'm not being his biggest fan, I can't lie to you. I think his defending yesterday on Friday night was unacceptable. Bowen having a free header, it was his man, not tracking back. He was probably ball watching, he was doing something. It was a quality ball in from the West Ham midfielder, but the point which I've got to make is, why is Bowen free? Amari Bell had Antonio, who was in front of him, but Bowen was behind, got in between the two, left wing back and the centre half, and Giles just let him go. Giles needs to do better. Middlesbrough fans warned us about, he's got fantastic crossing abilities, his attacking attributes are fantastic, but his defensive side of his game is nowhere near good enough, and it's not Premier League standard, and we're currently seeing it. The first 3 games, goals have come from that side of the pitch. It's not good enough, it really isn't. Chelsea was an awful performance, and I'm a bit asking questions to Edwards and going, okay, I know you've worked with this lad for a very long time in your coaching career, but defensively he's nowhere near the standard. And if you compare him to Alfie, who I thought had a really good game against West Ham before he came off injured, should he really be starting? I don't think Kapore was I felt Kapore should have started. It should have been Kapore and Alfie as the wing backs against West Ham. Who knows who's going to be playing as the wing back in the next game, but I don't want to see Giles. I really don't. He needs to earn his place in the team, and already I'm frustrated with him after 3 games. He's crossing ability, don't get me wrong, at times it looks like it could cause a lot of teams problems, but it's irrelevant if we're only having 1 shot on target. So something's not right. We're going to talk about the balance in a second in this video, but yeah, I'm not particularly happy with Giles. I get it, new signing, it takes time, but nah, I'm not happy, and he should not be starting in the next game. Number 3, as I've already spoken about the style already, I might as well bring it up. I don't think the system is right. I don't think the balance is there, especially within the midfield. Now, Chong and Barkley, great players. And when I watched the game, when I read about the game and looked at the statistics from it, Barkley had a much better game than what I actually originally thought. I thought he had a poor game. And yeah, I just thought he was shocking. But then when you look at the statistics, he actually created a lot. He had a few key passing, a lot better than what the West Ham team did. He actually did a lot more with the ball, and I was like, oh, okay, he wasn't actually that bad. And then when you look at Chong, for example, I thought who had a good game, a lot of people, his statistics were not the best. So it just shows you that when you watch a game, sometimes it's not what you think. But yeah, Chong and Barkley, I just don't think they are working well together. I don't think that balance is there. I thought the balance in the midfield got a lot better when Pelly came onto the pitch, and it was Pelly and Chong. So going forward, Rob Edwards needs to look at this. Now, do we keep the same system? Do we keep this three at the back stuff throughout the whole season? That is the big question there. Do we keep it going? I've seen a lot of people saying we should change the formation. Now, I agree. I've always wanted us to not play 5 at the back, but because it's been so successful, I've kind of just, just accepted it and got on with it. But really, when people say to me we should play like a 4-2-3-1, I kind of like agree to it. We have 2 strikers on the pitch. Half the time they don't work well enough together. The midfield is unbalanced. So it kind of does make sense for us to change, like to go to a 4 at the back, drop Amari Bell, who isn't a centre half, play him as a left back, and although I don't think he's good enough at left back either way, I think a 4 at the back will help. And then you've got 2 players in front of the back 4 in Nakamba, and then we've obviously signed, is it Lokonga from Arsenal. So you got him and Nakamba competing in those defensive midfielder roles and the holding roles. And then in front of those 2, you've got Barkley, you've got Chong, you've got Brown, you've got creative players. Clark when he comes back, Luke Berry when he comes back. So those are creative players there. And then up top you've got Morris. That, for me, that system, that lineup, would cause more problems, would create more clear-cut opportunities. I think defensively we would be a lot better as well. So it'd be interesting to see if something does change, because from Edwards' career, he's always played with a wing-back system. I've never known him to play as a full-back. So yeah, going forward, I would love to know if he does change anything. And from what people have been saying, I back that change if we was to move to a 4-2-3-1. Number 4, from the game against West Ham, I felt set pieces was an issue. We had a lot of set pieces, and we've had a lot of set pieces since the start of the season, in fact, especially against Brighton, Chelsea, and also against West Ham. We've had a lot of corners, a lot of free kicks. We've not been as creative from those set pieces. Now, against West Ham, the crosses into the box were not crosses with conviction. We've seen from last season against Sunderland, for example, how our crosses into the box, they were whipped in with conviction, with a bit of pace, and Lockyer was on the end of them, or Osho was on the end of them. We were really good from set pieces last season. The deliveries into the box this season have been nowhere near good enough, and have been so easily to defend against. Against West Ham, the keeper had an absolute field day. We didn't test the keeper, which really frustrates me at home, because you want to be more positive, you want to be more confident in front of goal, and we're not having any cutting edge about us going forward. Our top boy Morris is not shooting at the keeper. That worries me. 3 games into the season, maybe it's too early to judge, but he needs to be having shots at keepers. He's got to be doing that. He has to be doing that. And I felt the West Ham goalkeeper, he had an easy day. Although he did concede right at the end, he had an easy day because we didn't test him. We really didn't test him. And Alfie's balls into the box, they just weren't good enough. They were just floaters, and you're relying on someone to win one header and then we win like the second one. I felt in the game against West Ham, we didn't win our battles. We didn't win our second balls. We didn't win our third balls. If you don't do that at home, then you're not going to get anything, unfortunately, and it obviously ended that way. And finally, number 5, we've also learnt that the officials are just terrible in this league, just like the rest of the leagues in the country. They're just incapable of making good decisions, despite having multiple replays and multiple camera angles to review footage. They got the offside calls right in the game, but they missed out a very important call right at the end when Ward-Prowse handball. Till this day, I still don't understand how that isn't a handball. I've read up on the rules. Ward-Prowse's arm is in an unnatural position. It's not right. He's jumping with his arm in the air. It hits his forearm. It's clear and obvious from the video footage. Now, I understand why the infield referee didn't see it first time, but then even reviewing that back, he still had a clear view of the ball hitting his forearm. But then no one from that VAR room gave it. This is why officials in this country need to be mic'd up. We need to be hearing, why are they not giving that as a decision? If their referee told me, I've not given it for this reason, then I can, you know, it's much more easier for me to understand, and then I can look at the rules and go, hang on a minute, you know, and compare and contrast what they've said to the rules. But for me, the rules say if it's in an unnatural position, which it was, then it's a penalty. You know, I've read the rules, it's a pen. It makes no sense. West Ham fans are the only fans in the country that are calling it not a penalty. You know, I 100% guarantee if it was the other way around, they'd be screaming a pen. It just is, it's not natural. How you can get away with that, even when you first glance, yeah, forget about rules for a second. Put rules to one side. You see that naturally as a person, you go, that's handball. That's, for me, shows it should be a penalty. But anyway, officials in this country are still a joke, and I think we've learnt we just can't rely on them to make big decisions. We need to make sure the game is done and dusted through our performance, and just try not to have officials dictate whatever happens in the game. But yeah, that's what we've learnt from the West Ham game. But guys, if you did enjoy this video, drop a like, comment below your thoughts. And yeah, let me know what you learned from the game. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Follow me across all my social media. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.